Hello, and welcome to the B.A.S S, Big and Small Screens. Today, today I would like to talk to you about not one movie, but two. That's right, it's a double header again, uh, because I want to talk about Lara Croft Tomb Raider and Lara Croft Tomb Raider Cradle of Life. Now, these movies, starring Angelina Jolie, came out back in 2001 and 2003. And they were kind of hailed, I remember back then, as being one of the more how to put this, successful video game movies, because of course Lara Croft is based off of the Tomb Raider video game franchise, the rather buxom English archaeologist, which is I think why they got Lara Croft or not Lara Croft, Angelina Jolie to play Lara Croft in the movies. And I decided quite on a whim to rewatch them uh, and kind of see how they hold up. And it's been nearly at least 15 years or more since uh, both of these movies came out. Close to 16 years for one of them. And just to see how they kind of hold up. And the first one, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, definitely is dated. It's definitely dated, but it's not dated in a cringeworthy way. It doesn't make me go, oh my god, I can't believe they thought this was good cinematography, uh, which is a big word I like to use now and then. But it's one of those interesting little facets. It's almost kind of got a little bit of very late 90s style movie action stuff going on. Um, and more so in this one than in this one. This one, Lara Croft Tomb Raider Cradle of Life, is a little more nuanced. I want to say. Um, this one definitely has Lara in it. There's definitely some scenes, a couple of scenes in this movie that uh, definitely definitely looks at her uh, in a sexual way. I want to say. I mean, there's there's a shower scene that really has absolutely nothing to offer the movie other than uh, a little bit of titillation, and there's a couple of other little scenes here and there as well, which make use of that. This one, not so much. I mean, you definitely do see Lara in some uh, good, uh, shall we say, pretty uh, surroundings and whatnot. Um, but this movie seems more wanting to show off Gerard Butler's abs than anything, which I find rather interesting. But are they good movies? I think so. While they are definitely grounded and dated in terms of how they portray our heroine, because there's definitely some tropes going on there. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on that, but especially in the first one, Lara Croft is definitely what one would term to be a daddy's girl, uh, as the entire whole plot kind of revolves around her missing her father and some of the secrets that he had been keeping from her along those lines, which granted fits in nicely with her character. Um, so it's not too onerous. The tropes aren't too grating, I find, on it. Um, and the second one, while it doesn't rely heavily on that trope of her being a daddy's girl, um, the second movie definitely has her connecting with Gerard Butler's character, who was a former lover of hers, and there's some tension between them all throughout the movie and whatnot, uh, with a little bit of the plot, not a lot, not like in the first movie with the majority of it, but a little bit of the plot kind of revolving around that. which I kind of I dig. I can dig that. Now, compared to some of the movies out there today, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard Wonder Woman is fantastic. I plan on seeing that soon. I hope in theaters. But I hear Wonder Woman is great for not falling prey to those sort of things. And there's a lot of other movies and video games and whatnot and other media out there that are not falling into these uh, tired old tropes of with a female protagonist. And I have loved many of the ones that I have seen. Uh, and while these ones do fall back into those old patterns, this was also back in the day when those old patterns were um, very much still used and still widely used. I mean, as I said, about 15 years ago, these two movies were made. 15 years is a long time in this day and age. Uh, I mean, hell, just look at what's been happening the past 8 months. That people were like, if you go back 9 months, people wouldn't believe you. So a lot can happen, but these movies are quite good. Made by, I believe, Paramount. Yep, Paramount Pictures. And definitely really fun because, like, the first one, for example, deals with her going up against the Illuminati, uh, trying to find the two pieces of a triangle that was forged by metal from a meteorite that gave the ancient civilization that created it power over time itself. And the second one deals with her looking for the cradle of life, where all life on Earth sprang from, and where the Greek myth of Pandora's box came from. That Pandora's box is this powerful artifact that could destroy the world by releasing untold plagues. Um, and they both follow like these mystical MacGuffins, but they don't make, other than the story behind them, other than the history behind them that gets presented. Uh, there's no attempt to hand wave away the fact that it's like a very realistic movie, except for this mystical object that everyone's going up against. It has a very familiar feel to it. Um, if anyone who has watched the Indiana Jones movies, that it has a similar feel to that. These movies do, where it's not all like everything is very realistic and very filmed very naturally and normally, uh, except for one mystical thing. And that's the thing. Like they did it with the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they did it with the Temple of Doom, and the Crystal Skull. It was one, and the Last Crusade. They did it with all of them. There was like a little bit of supernatural, and it wasn't tried to be hand waved away as, oh, it's a scientific explanation for this. No, it's just like, nope, magical thing, because history. And I like that. I dig that vibe, that way of doing things. And these movies do that too. Um, while I am interested in seeing the new Tomb Raider movie coming out in 2018, uh, which is kind of like a reboot to the whole thing, and I think more based off of the new Tomb Raider game, which I did play and beat and loved. Um, I think it's more based on that. So I'm kind of hoping for some similar fun in seeing that on the big screen. Yeah. So there's not too much more to say. Angelina Jolie is fantastic in this, and interestingly enough, while Gerard Butler plays the love interest in the second movie, in the first movie it's Daniel Craig. That's right, James Bond himself, Daniel Craig, is playing a supporting role to Angelina Jolie in this movie, and absolutely kills it. I didn't recognize him because he's speaking in an American accent, which blew me away. I'm like, he looks really familiar. Who is that guy? And then it clicked in me. I'm like, is that Daniel Craig? Let's look it up on IMDb. It is Daniel Craig. Boom, mind blown. So yeah, some interesting, fun stuff. There's also the same two characters in it. Lara's Butler, as played by, I believe, the guy with an H on his forehead from Dwarf Star, or White Dwarf, or Red Dwarf. Sorry, from Red Dwarf. He's the butler in this. Lara's butler. And there's another guy, I don't know the actor's name off my hand. Um, he plays kind of like a techie uh, guru guy that helps Lara with techie stuff. So there's some cool things in there. And John Voight is in the first movie as Lara Croft's father, and he is actually Angelina Jolie's father as well. So there's that undercurrent to the movie as well. So it kind of, because I knew this, it kind of lent a little bit more emotional weight to the scenes between Angelina Jolie and John Voight. So I was digging that. So that's gonna be it for this episode of Big and Small Screens. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And throw a comment in the comment section. What do you think of the Lara Croft movies? What do you think of the new one coming out? Are you interested in checking that out? Do you know of any other movies similar to these ones and the Indiana Jones ones that you think I might be interested in? Throw those comments in the comment section. Let me know. I'd love to get a discussion going with some people. And until next time, my friends, you all take care and check out the Lara Croft Tomb Raider movies. You might like them. And I'll see you next time.